The trading world will never be the same again, and that's because retailers have never had this much of an advantage, and they've never had this much access to AI tooling ever. We're living in a super crazy era right now. Finance, investing, trading, even blockchain, they're all becoming super potent and super opportunistic for those who are taking advantage of AI. And as a result, traders who actually start to learn how to use these tools are going to be the ones who benefit the most in the long run. Because this integration is so powerful that manual trading might just become a thing of the past. Now, what I'm about to show you is not just a chatbot looking at a screenshot of your chart, okay? This is Claude AI connected to your TradingView client directly. It has the capabilities to start reading the price action down to the very second. It can start to automatically map support and resistance levels for you. It can even start to build entire Pine script strategies out of just plain English. The best part, you don't even need to write a single line of code. I have a one-shot prompt that can actually help you get set up within a couple minutes. So let's get you wired in, all right? Before we actually build the integration, we're going to need 4 things. So I'm going to walk you through each one so nobody gets stuck. Okay, so number 1, your TradingView desktop app, not the browser. You need the desktop app. And this only works because we're connecting the Claude AI at an application level. So make sure you have that downloaded. And also, a pro tip, make sure you know exactly where that TradingView app is on your computer as well. I'll get into a little bit more of that later. So the second thing you're going to need is a Claude Code subscription. You can spend anywhere between $20 or $200 a month for a plan. And so what we're actually going to do is install Claude Code via the terminal. In this case, on Windows, you can just type in terminal and start to launch either command prompt or Windows PowerShell. For Mac, you can also just type in terminal and use the terminal there. You don't have to actively download it. It should come with all computers, so just make sure you can search for it in your applications or start bar. So the second thing you're going to need is a Claude Code subscription. You can spend anywhere between $20 or $200 a month for a plan. And so what we're actually going to do is install Claude Code via the terminal. In this case, on Windows, you can just type in terminal and start to launch either command prompt or Windows PowerShell. For Mac, you can also just type in terminal and use the terminal there. You don't have to actively download it. It should come with all computers, so just make sure you can search for it in your applications or start bar. All right, so these are the 2 background tools that are going to make the connection run, and that is Git and Node.js. Now, if you've never heard of them, don't worry. They take about 2 minutes to install, and you're never going to have to touch or install them again after today, all right? The number 4th is the one-shot master prompt after you've installed everything. You're going to feed that directly to Claude, and it's going to work its magic. I've actually posted the one-shot prompt in the description of the YouTube video, so feel free to just grab it right there. This is the piece that makes everything beginner-friendly. Instead of manually configuring the server, you just paste the one-shot prompt, and it builds the entire setup for you automatically. And believe it or not, that's it. That's all you need. If you have all those, you're ready to go. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is actually start to get into our terminal, install both Node.js and Git. So as you can see, I have my TradingView desktop client installed on the left window, and I also have the Windows PowerShell open, aka the version of terminal I'm using. So what we can do is, if you're on Windows, you can just open as administrator to save yourself some time and have a bypass on the permissions. In this case, what I'm going to start to do now is you can just copy and paste these commands and hit paste and enter, and then start the installation process. So in this case, I'm going to install Git first. And you'll see, it's going to be asking for making permissions on the thing, and you'll see that in this case my installers failed because it just failed to update. I actually have Git installed already, so if you take a look at some of what I'm about to type here, which is actually how you can check your Git version and confirm you have a Git version installed on your computer, you can just type in this, and you'll see okay, this user has this Git version installed, right? It gave me that response 2.51.0. Okay, so now that I have Git installed, we're going to take the next step and actually install Node.js in a very, very similar manner, okay? So we have win-git installed open.js. I'll post this in the description as well. And it's going to do its thing, right? Similarly, it's going to download. And you're going to give it permission, and you're going to install as well. So I've actually ended up doing like a clean install for you guys. So I deleted all my files so I can just run it through as if I'm doing it for the first time as well. Okay, so now it says successfully installed. We're almost there. What we're going to do is we're going to confirm that it was installed, and you should have a habit of doing this yourself. Okay, so we have our Node version as well, so that means it's installed. Now, final step is we're actually going to now use these two packages to install Claude Code, okay? So now you can type in this npm install -g Anthropic AI Claude Code, right? Now it's going to get real fancy. Okay, so it looks like I actually see Claude is installed. So what I'm going to be doing is actually just launching itself. You just type in Claude outright. You're going to be able to then get that command and say, I trust this folder. And voila, you would now have access to your Claude Code client. Now, this is where the fun starts to begin, okay? All right, so now what you can do is, now that you got Claude set up, you can actually feed it the one-shot prompt. And if you take a look at this here, there's a one-shot setup that you're able to copy, and I'll link the source in the description as well. But I'll also probably have it copy and pasted for you just to grab outright. But if you take that one-shot setup, and then you can Control V or Command V, depending on what device you're using, into the Claude client, and then voila. Then you'll start to see it work its magic. And so what you're going to do is start to effectively follow its prompt and follow its instruction. You have to understand that Claude is actually going to handle everything else automatically after you pasted the one-shot prompt. It's going to clone the repo, it's going to configure the MCP connection, and it's also going to set up the bridge between Claude and your TradingView client. And so when it asks you to confirm, you hit yes. That's all you have to do. When you see fully connected, you can come back and do a health check command, and once you're done, we can start to have some fun. Alright, so it seems like everything has been set up and things are ready to go. So it says to complete the setup, you're actually going to need to restart Claude Code and exit the session and start a new one, right? And so as a result, then it'll launch TradingView and do all that other good stuff. So what you can do is just make sure you copy and paste this if you want so it doesn't go away. I'll just have that as a reference so I know what to do. But in this case, the first thing you're going to do is exit the session, right? So let's type in exit. I'm pretty sure you can exit here. Well, I'll just clear out my terminal and I'll relaunch my terminal once more. And let me get that into a good view here. All right, so now we're actually just going to, since I ended up resetting the session here, I'm actually going to relaunch that session by just typing in Claude and do the same thing. It's going to wake up and open the Claude input table, and now what we're going to do is actually run this command and verify the connection. So it's actually tv underscore health underscore check. Okay, so it says now that my TradingView is actually connected and healthy. And as you can see, I start to have IWM on the chart. It says one frame, or sorry, it says the time frame 1 week. The chart type is candles. CDP and API are both connected. All right, so let's have some fun. Now that we've got this set up, I'm going to walk us through a bunch of unique use cases and scenarios that you can either use yourself or use as inspiration to go and push yourself even further, right? In this case, let's kind of get used to and learn the capabilities of this direct connection. So let's have some basic chart control and basic interaction down packed. In this case, let's figure out all that it can do. How about instead of looking at IWM, why don't I ask it to show me Bitcoin on the monthly? And so, of course, I would love to proceed. And now you'll see that the chart, that's pretty crazy, but the chart has actually shifted from IWM to Bitcoin on, I see now the week here. The monthly now. So it's actually picked up the commands and it's translated my plain English into actual inputs that I can give TradingView. Really interesting. Okay, so let's see if we can take this a little bit farther. How about we add some more technical indicators? I have volume. How about we add RSI and EMA 9 to the chart as well as indicators. Now, granted, I don't actually use RSI or EMA9. I just thought they were easy indicators to pick up and reference, and I want to see if TradingView is actually able to pick it up, and it looks like it's handling that with ease. Now I have an EMA indicator on the chart already, and the RSI below. Okay, I'm really impressed already. All right, how about we start to switch the type of candles, because you'll see on the chart type it says I have a certain type of candles. Let's switch those candles to Heikin-Ashi. I honestly don't even know how to spell Heikin-Ashi, but I'm just gonna guess. Okay, it looks like it actually ran into an error, but then it corrected itself, and it actually ended up switching those candles to Heikin-Ashi. Wow, it's right there. Okay, impressive. Now, let's do something a little bit more unique here. Let's ask it if it can run screenshots, and maybe you can save them directly to a documents file on my folder for journaling or sharing setups. So let's take a look at this. Can you screenshot this chart and save this to my files? Perhaps make a new folder in my documents folder and call it setups. Of course. Let's give it all that permission. Okay, I just think I saw it. I think I just saw a screenshot. Oh man, there is no way. There is really no way. I gotta verify this. Okay, no, hold on. Oh. Wow, it's right there. Okay. Really impressed actually. So it actually just ended up dropping that off into my documents folder here. Okay. So I'm already getting a million ideas in terms of what I should be doing with this, but I'm already impressed, okay? We've tested a lot of the basic functionality and now we know this thing actually works. So let's think about real-time data summaries, okay? I think instead of clicking through all these indicators, I might ask for a single response reading all those. So let's put one more. Add MACD indicator as well. Okay, so I have a MACD indicator on there. So I have MACD, RSI, and EMA. I think this is typically like the retail trader starter pack in terms of using indicators. I don't use any of these, but I'm just kind of want to test this out before I actually use my actual layout and desktop setup. So in this case, let me ask for a response. Can you deliver me real time or up to date readings and analysis from the indicators and price for BTC right now? So now it's probably going to like tap into all those indicators that I mentioned or all the ones that we have on the chart and actually extract like data points from it and probably sum it up for you. Oh, what? Okay, this is getting a little crazy. Okay, so this is the current snapshot of the monthly time frame. So it gives me the high, open, low, and then it gives me the indicators as well. And then on top of the analysis, it's kind of determining how you can read them. And in this case, the EMA 9, the price, it's indicating bearish momentum on the monthly time frame. RSI is looking neutral, it says, and then at MACD has a bearish signal as well. Wow, this is like really, this is really such a helpful way to actually consume a lot of these indicators. I'm really impressed already. So let's take this a little bit further. How about we'll do something called morning brief. I think this is a command we'll be able to run for my watch list. So I have like a watch list saved, so I want to see if it can actually give me a briefing of the watch list or a lot of the tickers I have saved on there. Okay, so it seems like it's closed and it can't read my chart at the moment. I think if I were to open it up, I should have a little bit of uh, an interesting result here. So in this case, I'll have it just do a portion of the watch list because the watch list is so huge. I'm going to get Mag 7 there, analysis of Mag 7 here. I've opened it up. Can we do this type of morning brief analysis on only the watch list under Mag 7? Okay, I think it's actually running here. Can you, under a watch list, under a section header? Yes, they are. So what I'm going to do is probably just give it the exact name so it could actually read it and deliver the analysis for me. So I think what we'll do is just rename this and not rename it, but just copy and paste. And I'll just type it this. Yes, it's this one. Okay. All right, so it's asking me permission to do all those tickers. Yes, of course. Yes on everything. Wow. So is it gonna cycle through every ticker here um, just to get that view on it? Okay, let's see. I think so. Oh Lord, this might be taking a while. But it looks like for each ticker, it actually ends up getting some kind of values in terms of price action, and then the quotes, right? The actual price. And then also each of those indicators and what they're determining there. This is like, this is honestly a bit mind-blowing, to be honest. Here it's going to be wrapping up Amazon, Nvidia, and then I think the last one should be Tesla. Or sorry, there's Meta as well. All right, well, I guess Claude is asking me to rate them, so I'm going to say they've been doing a great job here. Uh, can they look at my session transcript? Oh, hell no. Definitely not. All right. So now I've actually gotten an analysis of the whole Mag 7 here. So not only am I getting the whole price up front, but I'm also getting the analysis written out as well. So based off the indicators, this is overbought. This is holding EMA at 9. Nvidia price is sitting just at the EMA 9. Amazon Tesla neutral. The weakest, Microsoft and Meta, not showing a lot of strength here. So the TLDR is long, these ones, wait and see, these ones, short, these ones, right? It's like uh, super impressive that I just went through each of the stocks and kind of got those opens and closes there. Even on the last Tesla, I see it's accurate because the last price reading is 361.99, and you'll see the price here is 361.99 as well. Wow. Okay. How about we do some kind of multi-timeframe confluence? So how about we take a look at Tesla and ask for its timeframe confluence as well. Uh, okay, so I think now it's gonna ask to switch between all those time frames and kind of get those values there. So you'll see it's doing a 3 month, and so forth. So I think now it's gonna go down to the week daily. Okay, so this is my time frame confluence breakdown here, right? I got the Tesla full multi-frame time frame confluence. In this case, we have bullish, neutral, bearish, bearish, neutral, bearish. But this neutral is a bull case as well. Quarterly is the strongest. Lower time frames, bearish still. First time frame turn bullish flip. So gives you a verdict as well in terms of there's no strong confluence in either direction because they're mixed. Very good. Um, Bulls have a quarterly structure, bear has weekly, daily, firmly in control. So what to watch? If the hour bullish flips into the 4 hours, that would signal a tradable bounce. Wow. Nice. And so it gives you a TLDR as well. Wait for a confirmation for committing to either direction. Okay. Perfect. I can't wait to try some of these strategies out. Alright, so now we're actually going to be starting kind of my favorite use case and aspect to this. We've gone over the basics and its capabilities. We've actually even started to test it in terms of its analysis and what it can start to pick up. But now we can start to think about strategy development and also a lot of backtesting and execution practice as well. Let's think about how we can start to communicate our natural Pine script, or communicate English, our natural English language, into something that's actionable on Pine script. So I think what we can do is we want to create a strategy. So I'll just do a basic one, like when RSI crosses 30 and price is above 200 EMA, we can press a buy button, right? So very, very basic strategy there. In this case, we'll do this one. And can you help me develop and implement this strategy? So I think depending on how this, okay, now it's opened up the Pine editor and started to input on there. Okay, so looks like the Pine editor isn't open, so it is open actually. Yeah, that's a huge one. Okay, so it looks like it's directly inputted the Pine code script just into its editor in general. So now it's asking me to save this. What I'm going to name it is, this is the Claude code version of it. So I'll save the script. And now, I don't know if it'll actually have it published or it'll run the script on my chart. So let's. Okay, so it says the strategy might have already been added to the chart. So what I'm going to do is I'll click add to chart here. And now you'll see on the actual indicators, I think I'll just close this just so I can show you like where that indicator is. You'll see here that this is sort of my strategy report, and it looks like it's ran a little bit of a testing survey here. And what's crazy is I think it's actually marked that on the chart as well in terms of the line, the order entries, the long, the shorts. It's all like crazy. Let's just say I wanted to delete this pane. Wow, so not only has it applied the visual indicators, but it's also actually gone ahead and had that strategy tested. Seems like a pretty good strategy. Wow, this is amazing. All right. Well, now that I know we can do that, how about I start to maybe refine that logic a little bit, right? In this case, can we make the orange line EMA blue instead of orange? Of course, I'd love to proceed. And what it's going to do is actually going to open up the Pine editor and fix it. Okay, I think we're sort of back in action here because now the EMA line is now blue. So it's allowed me to actually edit that same Pine script, that same code on the fly here. So super impressive actually. I really want to see how it actually intakes another strategy I want to put. So you know what we'll do is we'll actually remove this and we'll start a new strategy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste a previous conversation with my strategy. So what I've done prior is I've actually talked to Claude in a separate client and just pretty much voiced my exact strategy. And so what I've had it do is output that framework directly into PineScript. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to paste that framework for PineScript into this TradingView MCP connection, and it should eventually implement that strategy, and we'll maybe see how it does. Okay, it looks like it ended up compiling, and you want me to add it to the chart? Yes, please. Okay, it seems like it ended up actually coding the strategy. Um, in this case, it's so heavy and so messy. It definitely needs a lot of refinement, but I'm still kind of impressed that I was able to take that whole input. I think it's worth probably, you know, kind of messing around and even refining with this further, thinking about what do these lines mean and how it actually ended up communicating this. Okay. Not bad, but not great. There's still some work to be done here. So what's really interesting is when we can move past the PineScript, what you can start to do is actually not only start to backtest, but you can actually ask Claude to build an entire strategy for you and then backtest it over a specific historical period, like the last 30 days or the last 20 weeks, to see how it's performed. So in this case, can we um, can you develop a basic EMA strategy and test it over the last 30 days? And there's going to be an iterative part to this, because after the strategy is developed, then you can start to ask it to optimize it based off of its live performance here. So after it's done backtesting, what you can do is ask Claude to optimize the strategy parameters and the guardrails of the strategy live to improve its performance, okay? So at this point, the performance is like very, very strong. Uh, Not bad in terms of its performance and drawdown. And so in this case, what I might start to ask it to do is, well, let's optimize a certain portion of it, right? It's taken all its trades, and what I'm going to say is, in this case, let's add some guardrails. Let's avoid any CPI day, okay? And let's see if that improves our results a little bit. Oh, so it actually found an issue. So I was on Heiken Ashi candles the whole time, and as a result, it actually switched back to a regular strategy. And so it says, well, we have the results. It's a basic crossover strategy option, and basically the strategy was a little bit profitable, but it has a low win rate, right? So in this case, it's asking me, do I want to optimize it and test different EMA lengths or add filters? Can you add a guardrail and refrain from taking trades on CPI days? How does that improve performance? And you can kind of see already the value already, where you can then communicate in plain English your strategies and then actually have that back tested for you and also analyzed for you as well. All right, so now I actually had it refrain from CPI days, so the trade itself is a lot less frequent. It probably is going to increase its win rate over time just because it's avoiding those days entirely, which are like extremely volatile, and odds are probably getting stopped or taking larger losses there. And so as you can see now, I actually just have a crazier increase in my performance and my win rate, right? In terms of the adding the CPI filter. And so the drawdown is way less, the profit is way more, I take less trades, and the win rate itself is irrelevant, it's a little lower, but it seems like the return is a little bit better. That makes sense. Okay. Now, so in this case, I think I can kind of probably just do something like this all night where I'm trying to find the best strategy here. Really what I want to take a look is now that we have a strategy, it can actually start to have an analysis and think about where I can recommend, it'll recommend me in terms of entry, stop loss, and take profit levels as well. So now I'm just gonna ask, this strategy is fine. Where should I be placing my next trade? And so now it says, well, here's the next trade signal at the moment, and here's the next setup. So what it'll do is it'll give me that signal, that entry condition, and I think it can prompt it for a little bit more actionable, something like entry prices, stop loss, and take profit levels. So let's ask for that as well. And now you're going to see, in terms of the trade, it's being highlighted for you by Claude code itself. So you can actually even take this a step further and start to actually connect your Claude code in your TradingView client with webhooks, which will allow you to signal a moment where you want to have an entry trigger, and then actually having Claude to execute trades automatically on your behalf. So you see where I'm going with this, right? This is actually going to be one of my favorite use cases, and I kind of saved the best for last in my opinion. Let's say I want to practice this strategy and get really good at it. What I can do is actually ask it to act as an interactive trading coach, and it can actually coach me by dropping me into a random date and advancing the chart candle by candle, and then asking for my decisions, and then providing a breakdown of my performance and my patterns as well. So in this case, let's do a series of like 3 trades, and I'll just like press long or short or either of them, and then I'm going to ask it to track my performance. So can you act as my trading coach and randomly generate some scenarios and historical dates that you can take me through and backtest and coach me candle by candle until it's time for me to make a decision and track my performance over 3 trades. So in this case, I'm just going to try to get past this as fast as possible, just so I can get the idea of what it's actually doing, and also how it's going to track my performance here. Okay, so as of now, it's setting up scenario 1 for me. I think it's finding a random date and a random time. It's setting me up on a 15-minute chart for Tesla. Oh, oopsies, I actually ended up changing the chart there. Okay, so now it's taking me into replay mode and asking me if I want to proceed. Of course I do. And now it's effectively letting the trade play out and even asking me what I should take in terms of the decision making here. So it says the replay is live. Let's step forward a few candles to build some context and then screenshot. Okay. Given the screenshot, so we have a record of that screen developing and the setup developing. So he says, bearish crossover just happened. Price is sitting right at those both EMAs. What's our call here? In this case, I'm going to trust the bearish call. I'm going to say short. So let's short. Okay, so update. 6 candles later. This is the patience zone. Not stopped out. I'm not in profit yet. It's still chopping around. Am I holding? Am I closing? Am I double down here? You know what? Let's double down just for the fun of it. And you'll see right on the chart, it's taking me through it. So you can actually take a look. It's actually moving me through candle by candle here. So on the double down, it says bold moves. I'm adding to the position here. So the thesis is, so now it tells me, right, it's not looking good for the short. It sold off initially, which would have been in your favor, but then it bottomed and ripped back up. The coach is on his take. The thesis broke. Bearish crossover failed. EMA's foot bullish. Constant whipsaw. You're close to stop and the momentum's against you. Or if we're close to stop, we can just take it now. We already know it's a bad idea. Okay, so it's went through the replay. Let's look at scenario 2. It's logged my performance. It says, market was pretty bad in terms of the thesis broke. So my short, my first performance, not so hot, right? Let's move to a different symbol, a different setup. So now I'm in NVIDIA, right? Okay, so what are we looking at here, right? Price was chopping sideways. It's a clean breakout. It's well above the EMAs. It's stair-stepping higher, higher lows, higher highs. A clear gap between price. In this case, it's not a different scenario from 20. It's not a choppy range, but now price is extended. So what's your call here, right? In this case, long, pullback, short, or no trade. We'll just do long, just because I want to see what it says. I kind of want to get through the trade. Go and continue quickly, so we can move on. So let's rip through this one, okay? So I'm gonna long here. Hopefully it jumps up and we'll have a nice little point of profit. Okay, pulls back, comes down. I was gonna say, hey, you got destroyed. So it said the trend was real, caught an extended move. Option 2 would have been better for wait for the pullback, right? And so in this case, do I want to proceed? So let's just say no, or sorry, hold on. Let's just say no here, just for the time's sake, and so the video doesn't run a million years. But in this case, we'll just say no, and we've interrupted it and say, just give me insights off my first 2 trades only. So now it's giving me a performance review, right? What went wrong? The patterns they're seeing. I'm impatient. I have no edge. I have good management instinct, but it doesn't really matter. What will we focus on? Enter at the EMA, not away from it. Wait for price to retest the 9 EMA after a crossover before pulling the trigger. This single filter would have kept you out of both losing trades. And so as a result, right, you can kind of start to see the value and the power of having this tool where not only can you start to have it automatically feed you levels, price, analysis, even data, but go as far as not only code and test your strategies, but help you execute and backtest them as well, right? What I can say is that in this case, I hope my video was a good example of how you can utilize this, but what I do recommend is actually inputting your own strategy on this and iterating on the strategy ideas as fast as you can talk pretty much. And once you have a solid strategy or something that you feel like is viable, then by all means have it start to coach you in different scenarios that are randomly generated by the AI, and then that way you can have a really fast and high level valuable exposure to the market and all its different types of trading conditions. So what I can say is that if you found this tutorial or walkthrough valuable, please give the video a like and subscribe, and throw on the bell notification as well, because AI is moving fast as hell. You don't want to miss an update. And to be honest, at this point, I'm thinking of just fully building out a lot of these integrations and pushing this integration to the limits, and that might involve even hooking this up to a brokerage and having some trading strategies run on autopilot. So I actually want to hear from you in the comments as well. Is that something of interest? Do you actually want to see me hook this up to a brokerage and start to run some practice strategies or develop strategies live with you guys? I also want to hear in the comments as well, what specific strategy are you looking to have Claude build first, or is it like a specific indicator that you're looking for? But with that being said, I just want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.